So, hello and welcome back to my channel. For those of you that don't know me, I am going into my second year of psychology at the University of Southampton, and you can probably tell by the title, this is going to be a quick kind of video on things that you should probably know before you go and do a psychology degree. So, if you're in year 13 and you've already signed up for a psychology degree, here are some things you might not have known before you signed up, or maybe some things to work on. And if you're in year 12 and you are looking at doing a psychology degree, here is some things I've learned from first year that maybe some people didn't expect. This is not stuff that I didn't know, but loads of people seem to go into a psychology degree not knowing what it's like, which really confuses me, because I went and I looked at the modules, I looked at student reviews, I knew exactly what my first year would be like, but loads of people were really confused when we did things they didn't expect. Obviously this will be general, but degrees in psychology are different at each university, so if I mention something and you think that's wrong, it's not wrong, it's probably just not applicable to your specific university. So my first point that you should probably know is it's not just psychology. And if you've studied psychology before, you'll know this, as in you study psychology in A-level, IB, I think that's the only way you can study psychology. It's not just psychology, as in you have biology, you have maths, you have kind of general essay skills that you learn in GCSE English. It's not just one thing, it's a combination of kind of multiple subjects, multiple areas of skills that you've got. So it's definitely more maths and biology than a lot of people seem to think before they come to do the degree. So in terms of maths, I would say it's, psychology, then maths, then biology. As in, we've done less biology this year than we have done maths. We've done obviously the most of psychology, and then, so let's say I've done 8 modules, 5 of them were psychology, 2 of them were maths, 1 of them was biology. Not entirely, but that's kind of the general, that's how it was broken down for me. It's much more psychology than it is maths and biology, but there is still going to be maths and biology. So if you know that your maths is really, really weak, or if you've not done maths since GCSE, maybe do a bit of general revision on it. The kinds of maths that we've done in first year are things like probability, percentages. I mean, it's mostly probability and percentages really. And then other things we've done is literally just plugging numbers into formula. As in we've done t-tests, z-scores, but that's not a math skill that you need. You just need to be able to put, number 1 to replace A, number 2 to replace B. That kind of stuff is okay. So you don't have to kind of prep and do revision before you go in and do your psychology degree. But if you know that you're very weak at maths, or you don't really understand maths, know that you are going to have to spend a bit more time on the maths content that you will be doing, because it's a core module. You have to pass it to pass your degree. You can't get your degree without doing the maths. So it's worth checking kind of where your maths skills are. Then in terms of biology, it's not hugely biology, but there are some bits. As in, we've done one module that was entirely biology. We've had another module that had kind of a very small element of biology. Most modules will have a small chunk, as in psychology you have your different approaches. Most times in each module we'll have a lecture on the biological approach to that topic. So, the biological approach to relationships or to personality. So it's not the whole module, but you still have sections otherwise. Even if you're not the strongest at biology, it's not awful biology. Is then when you're looking at just purely the biological approach in sections, that stuff is fine. If I hadn't done biology, I would be fine with all of that. It's normally just evolution, etc. In the actual kind of biology module that we have done, it was biology. As in, I did biology, and it was the equivalent of second year IB biology. So it was hard. I understood it because I had done it before. Other people struggled with it, but it was manageable. It's definitely doable. It's just you might need to spend a bit more time working on your biology. Before you come to your degree, if you know that your biology is a bit weaker, know that you're going to need to spend more time on the biology section, or if you know that your maths isn't very good, you know, brush up on your maths, brush up on your biology before you come to do this degree. Then another point is you have to do boring modules, as in when you get a psychology degree, you don't really want to do one that's not accredited with the British Psychological Society, or it's not very useful, as in you can't do most things with it. So in order to get the accreditation with the British Psychological Society, you need to do boring modules. There are always going to be boring core modules that you have to do, and you just have to sit through them. Especially first year, a lot of first year is getting everyone up to the same kind of level playing field if you've not done biology, psychology or maths before. So there are a lot of very boring modules and you just have to deal with them. That's all I can really say on that. Like, it's not the most interesting for a lot of the topics, and that's fine. That is just how psychology works, that's how degrees work. You're not going to enjoy every module. But you know, just a warning, you have to do boring modules to get your accreditation. You're not going to be able to pick and choose to only do fun modules. I mean, most people know that, but some people don't know that, so just a warning. And then kind of linked to that, like I said before, first year is getting everyone up to the same level. So if someone's done psychology, they already know a lot of the content from year one. If someone's never done psychology, they've never done maths and they've never even done biology, and the science that they used to get in was physics, they don't know anything about psychology. The point of first year is to get them, normally the point of first semester of first year, like your first set of modules that you do, the point of that is to get everyone to an even playing field, or as close to an even playing field as you can. You know, you teach them the basics of psychology, the basics of kind of the maths that go with it, the basics of kind of approaches, research methods, how psychology works. So if you have done psychology before, it's boring. We did a module called Intro to Psych, which was very, very much beginner. As in, it was like, what is psychology? Is psychology a science? What approaches do we have in psychology? What are some cognitive things, some biological things, that kind of thing. It's very much, you will have to do beginner, basic level content because not everyone has studied before. So yeah, that also might be boring. Another thing that people don't tend to know, which I find really strange, is a lot of people think psychology is just mental health. I don't know if they just don't research psychology and don't even bother to look at what it is, or if they're just deluding themselves, because we've done one mental health module out of 8, and it was an optional module. You didn't have to do it. Like, I think the only compulsory mental health module was in third year, and I think it's one module on clinical psych. There's not that much mental health. Like, you don't do that much on mental illness, mental disorders, abnormalities, anything like that. So don't come in expecting to do just mental health stuff. Like, I would say if you did the IB, it's about the same as you do in the IB in terms of mental health if you pick the abnormal optional module. If you do A-level, it's, I think, probably less than you do in the psychopathology module. If you do AQA, I don't really know how the other ones work because I don't really know much about them. But yeah, it's not as much mental health as you might think, so don't expect it to be all mental health. A lot of people think psychology is just mental health, but that's a very, very small area of psychology. You have like health psychology, sports psychology, clinical, cognitive, social, biological, you've got neuroscience, you've got research methods and stats. And clinical is one part of that. It's not as much as you will think, so don't expect to do a lot of clinical. In terms of how you're assessed, it's essays. If you've done A-level and you've done like AQA, or basically if you've done A-levels and you haven't done the IB, you're not going to be used to being assessed on solely essays. Like in the IB, we have short answer questions that are 9 marks and then 22 markers, which are our essays, and we're marked mostly on our essays essentially. So we kind of know how to write essays, but that's how we're going to get marked. In A-levels, you kind of have like short questions that are literally like, what is attachment? It's not like that. It's essays, it's 1,500 words, 1,000 words, 500 words, 3,000 words. It's essays. It's not short answers. It's learn to write an essay. And also an A-level essay, a good A-level essay is not the equivalent of a good university level essay. Like, You have to just learn the general structure of a university essay, but don't just kind of do what you did for a 16 marker. Like, yeah, you're going to be assessed in essays, but don't try and do them the same way that you would have done an A-level one, because they're different. It's like going from GCSE to A-level and deciding to write your essays in the exact same way when you're doing a different spec and it's a different level. Like, it's not going to work very well like that. So yeah, it's a lot of essay work, it's a lot of kind of referencing. You do a lot of research for your essays. As in, when you write essays in sixth form, it's just 1 or 2 studies. You write a definition, you talk about studies, do they support the research, full stop, conclude, that kind of thing. In university level psychology essays, it's, you know, your introduction is definitions, it's always kind of definitions, and then you don't just talk about one study. As in, you have to mention, I mentioned like 7 studies in my first ever essay, and I would probably mention more. As in, you don't write like 600 words on what one person did, like what Milgram did. You write 100 words on what one person did, contrast that with what another person did, contrast that again with what another person did. Does that support the original point that you've made? You're going a lot of back and forth rather than just, here's one study, here's a good thing about it, here's a bad thing about it. Like, the essays are more complex, they're more difficult to write, and it's harder to gauge if you've done well in your essays at uni. Like, in your essays at sixth form, I found it really easy to know if it was a good essay or not, because I knew exactly what the criteria was, I knew how my teacher marked. At uni, lecturers mark very differently. It's very hard to guess what kind of grade you're going to get. As in, I knew my first essay was good, well, I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was as good as it was. I was like, that's a good essay for me, but is that a good essay in terms of university? Is that going to be a 50, a 60, a 70, an 80? Where does it fall? Like, it's hard to gauge where your grades are. And also, don't just think that, you know, because you got an A star or an A in A-level IB, that doesn't automatically mean that you will be at the same level at uni. You won't automatically be going to get firsts and 2-1s straight away. Like, it's okay to not do as well. Like, a lot of people, when they do the jump from GCSE to A-level, will go from an 8 or a 9 at GCSE to a D or a C at A-level. Expect that kind of jump. Like, you can do really well, but you're gonna have some modules where you just don't do as well, and you're gonna think, oh, a 50, that's awful, or a 55 or a 60, even a 60%, you think that's not very good. But like, it's not really a 60%. The university grading system is kind of weird, because you get a 60 and you think that's 60%. It's not really 60% because it's not really out of 100, which is then kind of confusing. But like, don't expect to do incredibly well, and don't be disheartened if you get a few bad module grades. Like, first year doesn't count in most universities, well, I think in all universities, for psychology at least. So don't worry if you don't do well. Like, if you don't do well in a module, look at what feedback your lecturer's given you. And also, lecturers don't give great feedback. The first essay I did, I got really good feedback because it was from my tutor. He wrote loads of information, it was really good. Other essays that I've done, I've literally just got a grade. Like, some of the essays I've done, I've just been given a grade and nothing else. And then sometimes I've just been told, you know, make this more clear, full stop. Or, good essay, work on referencing, full stop. Like, you don't get much feedback. You have to go through your own essay and work out yourself what you did wrong, which is very difficult. But you should be able to find kind of the grading square online of how they grade your essays, in terms of, it's not like if they've included 10 references, give them an extra point. But it's like a general statement of what they want you to do in an essay. So then, kind of linked to your essays, you have to do quite a bit of reading for essays. In general, your modules don't require a huge amount of kind of extra reading, but there will be some reading. We had a module where we got set 1 piece of reading per week. Not difficult, very easily doable. You know, you could have 1 piece of reading a week, you could have 3 pieces of reading a week. Like, know how to read. In terms of reading a study, it's not like in sixth form where you just kind of get told, here's the aim, here's the method, here's the finding, here's the conclusion. Like, you have the full paper of like 30 pages, 100 pages, 12 pages. I read introduction, discussion, and that's it. You know, in your first ever reading, read how you think you should read. Get a gist of the paper, get an idea of what's going on, write up a few bullet points as to what's happening, explain what's happening in the study, and then, you know, if you've spent too much time on that, work out a way to cut it down. Like my first ever one, I read the whole paper, it took me ages, I didn't really know what I was doing. My second reading, I read just the introduction, just the discussion, and I still fully understood it. Like, I didn't need the method, I didn't need the result. There's no point in me reading the results because I don't understand the stats. I don't understand what stats tests they've done. And in the discussion, they will literally tell you whether the results were significant or not. Like, the first sentence of the discussion, the first paragraph of the discussion pretty much summarises the aim, summarises what they did, and tells you whether they actually concluded what they thought they would conclude, if that makes sense. So yeah, that I would say is pretty much everything that I have learned that you would need to know. Why is my hair falling? So I've only done 1 year. You know, it might be different in second year. I might start second year and suddenly think what I said in that video was wrong. But this is my general gist. I've also watched a few other videos. I'll link some other videos down below of like what to know before you do a psychology degree that I personally found useful. They were okay. These kinds of videos are normally helpful for people that don't actually have any idea what they've signed up for. But if you don't have any idea what you signed up for, I worry for you, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't understand people that sign up for a degree without knowing what they're signing up for. That is what to expect from your psychology degree and what you should know. What kinds of things, if you have done psychology before, it's probably worth doing like a quick brush up or revision in September or something. So most courses start end of September or October. Do a quick brush up on the basics, as in, you know, what's a lab experiment, what is independent measures, repeated measures, matched pairs. Like, your general research method stuff is the stuff that you will use everywhere. And then maybe just look at like different evaluative points. Like, just have a general skim. I watched the crash course psychology videos, which weren't relevant but were kind of interesting. I mean, a lot of it was stuff I've already done because I did study psychology. But it was kind of interesting. If you've not done psychology, I'd say they're a nice place to kind of start. Like, put them on while you do a workout, put them on while you're kind of relaxing. They're a nice place to start where it's not overwhelming the amount of information they give you. You just kind of get a nice basic idea as to what psychology is, essentially. If you have any questions about anything psychology related in terms of like doing a degree, A-level revision, anything like that, let me know and I will answer them in the comments. If you have any questions about anything, let me know. A lot of people send me messages on Instagram, so if you have any questions about specifically like the University of Southampton or doing a psychology degree, if you don't want to comment it like for other people to see, my Instagram will be in the description. Send me a message and I will at some point get back to you. If I've missed something, that's just how it is. I hope that was helpful in some way, shape or form. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to subscribe to see more content, please do, because I have the watch time to get monetized but not the subscribers, and I would appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you, and if you subscribe, I will see you in like 3-4 days, and if you don't subscribe, I might never see you again. So if you want to see me again, do subscribe. This is